Hi. All right, so the first video that I shared with you was an explanation of the research question, an overview of the assignments that we have coming up, and an explanation of just kind of what the next, few weeks will look like. The second video was an explanation of how you'll incorporate your research into your paper. And that's an important thing to just practice so that you can figure out how to take quotes or ideas from your research that you're doing and put it into your paper. And then this video is about another assignment that's coming up that'll be due on April 14th, which is your annotated bibliography. Okay, so basically by the time you submit your paraphrasing assignment on Sunday, you should have identified at least 2 sources that you plan to use in your final paper. You've already found one if you've done the Blackboard discussion, right? Because I asked you to upload one of your sources and explain to me why it's useful for your paper. That, in essence, is the work of writing an annotated bibliography. So I'll get to that in a second. But so you already have one source, and you can use that source to do the paraphrasing assignment for Sunday. So by Sunday, you need to find 2 sources. So one additional source that you can use to find an idea or a concept and paraphrase it for use in your paper. If you don't ultimately use it in your paper, I'm not going to hold that against you, but it's just to exercise and practice using content from a source in your final paper, right? The next thing that'll be due, and it'll be due on April 14th, is what's called an annotated bibliography. And so anytime you write a research paper, at the end of the research paper, you need to have a works cited, right? And a works cited is basically just a list of the sources that you use in your paper. They're listed in alphabetical order by last name, and there's a particular format in which you have to write the works cited. We're using MLA format for this class, and so you can look at the Purdue OWL website. Let me just open that up. So you can look at the Purdue OWL website in their citations section to look at how to format a works cited page, right? Right here. And so basically what it means is that when you put your source in, let's see if I can find a sample works cited page. When you put your source in the works cited list, this is what it would look like, right? So this is what it would look like if it was a website. This is what it would look like if it's a journal article, etc., etc. You can see here this amazing tool, which is also available on Loyola's website, which is also available in Zotero, the website that Asha shared with us, that you can put the journal article title here, and it'll produce the citation for you, right? So no one is having to go and actually write the citation if you don't want to. You can get it produced automatically on the library or on the Purdue OWL website. All right. So at the end of every essay or every research paper, you're going to produce a works cited, and for you guys, you have to have at least 5 academic sources. But if you cite a website as a 6th source, which some of you might, I do expect to see that website listed in your works cited. Anything that has a citation, that needs a citation, we'll talk about that later, needs to appear in the works cited. Okay? What does this have to do with an annotated bibliography? An annotated bibliography is basically your works cited page, but in addition, you have a paragraph for each entry, for each article. And basically, the annotated bibliography is just another version of what I asked you to do for discussion board the other day, which is that you answer a few questions. What is the article about? What is the book about, right? So give me a brief summary. And by brief, I mean 1 sentence. I don't need 10 sentences about, to summarize the article. Just a very brief summary of the article or the book. And then a sentence explaining the value of the source. I'm assuming that all of you are getting good sources, credible sources, written by professionals, written by academics, scholars in that topic, right? But why is it good? Is it good because of the date that it was published. This is a really good source because it was published in 2018, and a lot of the other research out there was from 2000, before 2000. Is it a really good source because of how much research the authors did, because they did primary research, so they actually did an experiment to find out information that's useful to you? Is it a really good source because it's considered kind of the authors are the standard in the field? Right? So just an explanation of what the value of the source is, the credibility of the source. Why is it so good? And then the last thing that you should do in your annotated bibliography is explain the usefulness of the source. Why is this source good for you for your paper? Why is it useful, right? So, you could be researching a topic and about the death penalty, let's say. That doesn't mean that every single person who's writing a paper about the death penalty will use the particular source that you're going to use, right? And it's all dependent on your question, too. So if you're trying to prove that the death penalty is immoral because it doesn't fit with the tenets of Catholicism, all right, you're going to be looking for different sources than people who are going to argue that the death penalty is immoral because of some other kind of ideology, right? Because it doesn't fit with Judaism or whatever. Sorry, there's just a really loud noise in the background, so I got distracted. So you want to explain why the source is valuable to you in your particular paper. So many of you did this in the discussion board, and I encourage you to go look and see what people wrote about their sources and what I wrote, in my feedback, to understand how a source might be useful or might not be useful. So yeah, that's essentially what an annotated bibliography is. It's formatted like a works cited page, but then in addition to the entry in the works cited page with the citation, so who wrote it, what the author title is, what the journal is, etc. Not author title, article title. And then in addition to that, you'll have a paragraph that just explains those things. So a brief summary of what the source is about, the value of the source, why is it good? Why is it credible? Why is it useful? Not useful. Why is it credible? Why is it valuable to the whole conversation? And then the usefulness of your source to your paper. Okay, so summary, value, and usefulness. You don't have to take it from me. So in addition to looking at the Purdue OWL website, I think that the Loyola Office of Writing and Learning Services website is also very good. Like I said, the only reason that I don't prefer this to Purdue is because you have to download each item as a document. However, I actually think that this has more content and more useful content for you guys as Loyola students than the Purdue website. And so what I've done for you is I've taken their annotated bibliography explanation and I've uploaded it to our Google Drive so that you don't have to download it yourself, although you can. But this is the Office of Writing and Learning Services explanation of what an annotated bibliography is. And you can see here the three things that are covered. So a summary of the source, an assessment of the source, right? So like the value of it. I'm assuming that the argument is strong. I'm assuming that the information is reliable because you're using it in this paper. But I really want to hear, still your assessment of it. Why is it good? And then this last piece, so we're taking for granted that this annotated bibliography is part of your research proposal, right? And so in this last piece, you would assess the usefulness of the source to the research. So, how much you use it, how has it contributed to your argument that you're ultimately making, right? So this document explains both the content of the annotated bibliography and then the formatting for it. So down here, this is the formatting. And again, I'm asking you to use the MLA style. And so this is an explanation of what the MLA style would look like, right? So this is where the citation ends, and you can either just start your paragraph right after the citation, or you can start it on a new line. You have those two options, okay? So that document is made available by Loyola's library, and I'll put it in our Google Drive folder so that you can access it. But that's the assignment of an annotated bibliography. All right. So once you have worked out how you will use paraphrasing, summarizing, or quotes in your paper, and you've gone through your articles and figured out, these quotes and arguments support my point, these help me see this topic in a new way and help me really finesse my thesis statement, that's when you can start to put together your argument. And so once you've completed the assignment that's due Sunday and then your annotated bibliography, which means you've also completed all of your research, you're really ready to start writing your paper. Okay? Start thinking about how you're going to prove your point, how you're going to prove the answer to your question. But don't worry so much about organization yet, because you still need to gather all the information that's out there, right? And that's what we're doing over the course of the next week and a half or so. Okay. Again, I'm sorry I had to cancel our in-person meeting, but I'm just not up for it today. I will post this stuff to Blackboard and create a discussion board in which you can put questions. And that way, if there's something that you don't understand from these videos, I can address it there. So you don't have to post anything in discussion. I'll just kind of, assume that you've watched these videos. And then if you have questions, we can look at it. And then I'll decide this weekend what we'll do on Tuesday, whether we'll have an online discussion or we'll have a Zoom meeting. Okay. So we'll see kind of what kind of questions y'all have. If you have not submitted a research question to Blackboard, which many of you have not, please do that either to Blackboard, or if you don't feel like you want to put it in front of everybody, you can email it to me. All right. But the reason that we do this project step by step is because it can be overwhelming to try and sit down and do it all at once. And so I want to make sure that you're doing the pieces of it to build to the end. Okay. This is the only class that you're going to do that in, because every other class, the assignment is just write a research paper. All right. Okay, guys. I'm going to talk to you later, and like I said, just email me if you have questions or you want to have a one-on-one. All right. I hope everybody is hanging in there, and we'll make it through. Bye.